Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jarod Gray with my co-host Jordan Rains and the Dynasty Chef Steve. How you doing, fellas?
Doing great.
Yeah, good. Good morning. Happy to be here.
Man, happy Thanksgiving week. Big week yesterday, and got a good game tonight. Going to be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, the Rams actually show up and play football tonight. So we'll see what happens.
It's asking a lot.
I'd say, dude, let's be honest. Their coach kind of needs it. I mean, all this praise that he's got, Sean McVay got last couple weeks or last couple years, and they're not really balling by any aspect this year. So
Mm-mm.
we'll see what they need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our studs and duds, aspect.
Mostly studs. Today we don't cover a lot of duds usually because the time runs out. Last couple of weeks. Shout out to Expand the Box Score, the podcast network. We're happy to be part of that family, and they have a lot of really good college football stats and data over there. If you guys have not checked out that site, please go do that. It's awesome.
Yeah, they do a really good job. We do have some crazy stuff coming up with him, and we'll put out later. But they do a great job for us and take care of everybody. So go check them out, expandtheboxscore.com. All right, let's get to it. I guess plain and simple here. Joe Schobert needs to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get the aspects out about this. In 5 tackles, 4 pass deflections, 2 interceptions. He should have had a sack. Dude was everywhere yesterday.
Mhm.
Didn't matter. In coverage, right up on the quarterback. He's definitely having an all-pro season. He definitely deserves every aspect of getting paid. Maybe Kersey going out helped him a lot, but you can't grab about what he's doing.
No,
He's a pretty humble dude.
he's having an incredible season. 2 interceptions is enough right there. He's playing lights out. Last week was the highest scoring linebacker in most leagues. This week he's close to it again if he's not, depending on how things go down tonight. So shouts to Joe Schobert for earning his keep and having a great season. And he was ranked pretty high by a lot of people, but I don't think anybody saw this coming by any means. He's basically a week winner, week in and week out.
Yep, I agree. It's just fun to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Especially for Browns fans, there's not a whole lot of really positive stuff to watch besides Nick Chubb and Joe Schobert on that team.
They're on a 3-game winning streak.
Landry is on a 4 or 5 game touchdown streak now. So
yeah, he's killing it, and you got to give that with Baker Mayfield's. He's what? How many touchdowns he's got over the last 5 games? He's played pretty well.
I don't know.
His QBR the last 5 games is above 95, so he's coming along strong. Just an aspect. Rookie of the week for our linebackers, Devin White, 2 sacks, 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Man, he's coming on strong since he got injured. After he got injured, came back, kind of balling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been playing very, very well. There's not really a whole lot you can say about that. He's just playing really good. He's sacking guys. He's getting high number of tackles. As far as I can tell, he's playing almost every defensive snap. He's outscored Levante David the past 2 or 3 weeks now. So good for him. He's coming on strong. He started off a little slow. He had like you said, the injury, but he's coming on strong now when you want him, and you've seen enough probably to where you're confident playing him every week down the stretch. So if you held on to him in a redraft league, that's awesome. And if you have him in Dynasty, it feels good to finally have some validation to that, fairly high pick you probably spent to get him in your rookie draft. So kudos to you. I actually played against him in my Dynasty yesterday. And I have Devin Bush, and I'm probably going to lose, unfortunately.
It's kind of like he's been coming down a little bit lately.
Yeah, Devin Bush has been. He had that fumble yesterday, which was nice, and he ended up with a few tackles. But for whatever reason, the ball's not coming his way quite as much. He's still around it a lot from what I saw, but he's just not picking up the stats like he was early in the season.
A little equalization there in the Devons, I think.
Yeah, a little what do you call the law of averages coming?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
everybody's going to end up slowing down a little bit. He's still a baller. I mean,
Mhm.
Devin Bush is playing pretty well overall. I mean, like I said, he had the fumble recovery to help things out. But when it comes to overall, we got, some pretty good play out of Devin White and Devin Bush yesterday.
I'm still starting Devin Bush.
Matt Milano comes up big. 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit, 3 pass deflections.
Yeah,
Matt Milano can jump.
He's massively underrated. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks. I've been ranking him ahead of Tremaine Edmonds for weeks too, and I mean, he's just a better fantasy play than Tremaine Edmonds. I'm sorry, like I don't know what else to tell you.
Get
Right,
100% snaps. He's sure tackler. You can't ask much more
coverage. And he's not the primary linebacker, so he's not the one people are trying to avoid. You know what I mean? Like, so he gets those cleanup kills. He's awesome. He's only like 24 or 25 too, so it's not like he's busted or anything. Like he's coming into his own.
It's just because he's had a few injuries. That's why people have kind of been off him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's finish off the linebacker studs: Devondre Campbell, KJ White, Demario Davis, Blake Martinez, Cole Holcomb, Todd Davis, Fred Warner, Jamie Collins, Jayon Brown with a monster 15 tackle game, and Zach Cunningham with 16 tackles.
There's a lot of tackles yesterday.
Dude, there were some high tackle games yesterday. I mean, Devondre Campbell, 8 tackles. Demario Davis continues to be on this list. I mean, 11 tackles, a sack, a quarterback hit, pass deflection. He might be the surprise MVP of the year. When we're all said and done, Demario Davis might be right there.
Oh, yeah. The last 3 weeks he's been on absolute fire, and it's not like he was, like, not doing good before that either. I mean, he's coming on so strong. Sacks, interceptions, I mean, high tackle numbers. And, I mean, when you turn on this – when the Saints game's on and they're on defense, it seems like he's the player that you kind of always notice. Like, he just goes hard. So, shouts to Demario Davis, friend of the show.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Proud member of the IDP Army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're inducting him in.
KJ Wright, big game yesterday, 12 tackles, tackle for loss, quarterback hit. We're going to continue to say this every day. Devondre Campbell is the guy to own in Atlanta. 8 tackles, pass deflection, and an interception.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second week in a row with an interception.
Yeah, he's been – I mean, Deion Jones is just – he's been outperforming Deion Jones for a while now, and you don't have to like it. I mean, it's just facts, He's playing really well. He's one of the better players on that defense right now. Plain and simple, he gets the tackles. He's getting 2 interceptions back-to-back weeks. That's big for a linebacker. We're talking about Joe Schobert. He did it. Devondre Campbell's doing it too. So give the man some credit. I got a feeling that they'll probably screw up and get rid of him next year because they paid Deion Jones all that money, and he's probably going to want some money now. I don't know the financial situation, contract situation, but Devondre Campbell's earned whatever he's making now. I promise you, it's not enough. So,
well, he's a young buck. He's going to stay for a little bit. I mean, he's still under contract for another year or two. So, I don't see how you get rid of him. It's just too. He's been way too good, and he's been healthy, which is what more can you want? Person that is getting a lot of money and continues to play pretty well is Blake Martinez. 6 tackles, 1 sack, tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. Not a monster game for him because we have such high expectations for him, but I mean, that guy's worth some money. I mean, whether you think it or not, he's been a consummate bowler.
He is and he isn't. I've been watching and reading. I mean, I follow some people on Packers Twitter, and he's got a few knocks against him within the Packers community. I mean, he's a good tackler, but apparently I don't remember which side it is, but he's got a couple of weaknesses that teams seem to exploit against him from time to time, and it's come up on film. And I think that they. I mean, I'm not a scout or anything, but I think that there's a chance that they might move on from him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I get that, but I mean, if you talk to the players love him. He always takes a rookie or two under his wing. They have nothing but great things to say about him. You know, the interview that I did early season in training camp. You know, I talked about a player that took him under his wing, and wow, I'm having a mental blank. The rookie undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma. And he had nothing but great things to say about Blake Martinez. And all of the teammates say the same thing about Blake Martinez. So that's huge. He's good for the locker room, and he's a sure tackler. So hard to get rid of somebody like that when, sure, there's another linebacker every year, but what if you get a Preston Brown? You know, what if you get a guy who's a cancer for the locker room, which is huge. So
yeah.
you just don't know what you're going to get with players these days. So
I just circled back up and I was looking real quick about Devondre Campbell. He came in the league in 2016, and he actually this year, right now, he's got 96 combined tackles. And last year was his best season in combined tackles. He had 94, and he's still got 5 games to play. So this dude pretty much
he's going to get paid, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to lead the league. He's going to lead the team in tackles, isn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure.
By a mile. So I mean, he's what, top 20 in? Maybe top 10.
He's top 15, top 20 in tackles after this week. I'm pretty sure, because last week I think someone had 92 tackles, and they were still top 5. So he's got
your boy, freaking Buda Baker.
My boy. Buda, man, I could have used Buda this week. I played Jabril Peppers, and him going out at halftime with
man,
it killed me.
And he might be injured. So
yeah, I know. So his hip. I'm afraid he might have fractured it or something.
Which is interesting because I really thought Antoine Mathé was going to step up after that, and he didn't have a great day at all.
No, and then that other safety they put out there to replace him, he ended up getting that penalty called, which put whoever they're playing on the goal line, and they ended up scoring. And I was like, man. And then the another guy that was, I think it was that same safety, also had a pick, and I was like, oh, that could have been Jabril Peppers.
Tom Davis had another big day. 13 tackles and a tackle for loss. A guy we don't have on here, but has played very well, is AJ Johnson. I'm going to have to look up all his stats, but AJ had a big day as well.
He looked like he was a playmaker yesterday from what I saw. I mean, I didn't watch that whole game. And when I was watching it, I was mostly watching my boy Josh Allen, just dominate the Broncos defense. You were trying to tell me was so good yesterday.
I mean,
but hey, if what happens whenever a good defense comes up against a great quarterback, they just look like an okay.
He is. I mean, here's the thing: he's just playing really well. So
because he's really good.
Really good.
Those things go hand in hand. Just wait. I bet he has a better career than your precious Baker Mayfield.
Ooh, I'm almost willing to take that bet.
Yeah, that'd be a long bet, though. I mean, we have to be talking for 15, 20 years. I don't know if I want to hang around that
It's
long.
funny. I have a standing bet with somebody, and that was made this year, which is awesome. I'm not going to give you a total dollar amount because it's not a small dollar amount. Whether or not Baker Mayfield gets starter for 10 years in the league. I said, I'm not really worried about this one.
That's an interesting bet. He'll definitely be a starter for 6 or 7. I mean, look at Mark.
At a minimum, it's going to be 5. So
yeah. Back to some IDP, like you said. Todd Davis did have another good game. 13 tackles, tackle for loss. I mean, you can't be mad at that. Fred Warner, here's a guy who has had 3 back-to-back great games now. Another double-digit tackle game, 11 tackles, another sack, which makes 3 over the span of the last 3 games, tackle for loss, and a forced fumble on Aaron Rodgers, no less. So, I mean, it was a good game for Fred Warner. It's usually a good game for the 49ers defense, but since Quan Alexander has gone out, I mean, Fred Warner is basically back to being a boss. Earlier in the season, he was just kind of phoning it in. I mean, at least in the box score, it looked like that. But since Quan's been gone, I mean, he's stepped up to be the alpha dog in the middle. And that's, to be an alpha dog on that team where there's 3 or 4 other alphas on that defense, I mean, I think he's got a bright future ahead. And he's a guy that, if you have him in Dynasty, I mean, he's a young linebacker. He's only 23.
Yeah, he's really young, especially after going after and getting Quan, and Quan goes out and he shows out again. It shows that he's honestly he's kind of the guy. And they got Dre Greenlaw, who's playing very well as well.
Yep.
Now you can almost afford not to pay Quan this year.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They going out and getting him was kind of one of the things. I mean, it's kind of like when they went and got Jerick McKinnon. It's like, did you really need to do that, or like, what was the point here? Like,
that was a horrible move. I mean, even if you just watch his groundwork when Jerick McKinnon was, the starter at.
I mean, the thing about Jerick McKinnon, I was just like, anything Jerick McKinnon can do, Matt Breida is already doing for a lot cheaper. Like, and he just did it again this year. I mean, they're really similar players.
You got to give it to John Lynch, man. I mean, he's done a very good job as a GM. He's picked up some good players.
Oh yeah, he's put together quite a team, both sides of the ball. So, and a coach. So good for him.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I loved him as a player. All right, let's get to these. Well, let's not give no love to Zach Cunningham and Jayon Brown, because these two guys came back and balled out yesterday. Dude, Rashaan Evans was an afterthought yesterday.
Yeah, I was just looking. He only played 67% of snaps yesterday. I'm not really sure what was up with that. I guess
so. It's funny. I was talking to Russ about it. I'm pretty sure he got nicked up right at the end of the first half. So he didn't come out playing a whole lot in the second half. And Jayon Brown had 15 tackles. So it's funny because Jayon Brown might easily be available in some of your waiver wires right now. So might be a guy to go look at.
Yeah, I mean, when he's been playing this year, he's been amazing. So if that were the case, yeah, I'd definitely go get Jayon Brown. That'd be silly to leave him on waivers.
Yeah, a healthy Jayon Brown. In some leagues, he was a very high scorer last year. So I mean, in already 1, 2, 3. I mean, he's going to score a lot of points in the format that we're putting out. So
yeah, I mean, every game that he's not been hurt in this year. I mean, you pretty much want him in your lineup. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good high scorer as far as tackles go. He's pretty decent in coverage. Doesn't he have 1 or 2 interceptions on the year? So I mean, he's got everything you're looking for in a linebacker.
Yeah, three of his pass deflections were actually dropped interceptions. So
that's awesome.
I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, so he's very capable and aware of what's happening around him. So I expect even bigger games in the future as long as he's healthy.
So once boy got hurt yesterday, Zach Cunningham blew up.
Yeah, that was Thursday, but
blew up.
Cunningham, that's his best game of his career tackle-wise, and I have him in 4 leagues. I played him in 1. That's literally the story of my whole season with Zach Cunningham. I bench him, and he has one of his better games. I play him, and he has like 6 tackles.
Was yesterday one of the best defensive line edge rushers days of the year? It's probably top 3 for sure.
Yes, yeah. There was a lot. I mean, this is without Everson Griffin, Joey Bosa, Daniil Hunter. There was a lot of guys that showed up yesterday and got, multiple tackles, at least a sack, We
had Ezekiel Ansah.
Yeah, and a lot of, disruption. I mean, there was a good number of forced fumbles yesterday. There was a good number of interceptions yesterday. It was good to see Shaq Barrett get back in the studs column. 4 tackles, 5 quarterback hits, a tackle for a loss, a sack, and another forced fumble. It seemed like we are saying that, every week for the first 5 weeks. I feel like that was his stat line, and then he chilled. But this week he came back out and he had a nice monster game. Eric Armstead, he came in on my rankings at like 23 this week. We didn't touch on him yesterday, but we almost did.
We talked about him a little bit yesterday.
And when we did, even after we moved on, I was like, we didn't talk about him enough. And, he comes out and proves that, that feeling was right. I mean, 5 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, and a tackle for a loss. And I mean, on a line where Nick Bosa plays and my boy DeForest Buckner plays, Eric Armstead continues to be just as good, if not better, on a week in, week out basis.
They have a stout defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Nick Bosa on that defensive line. 3 tags for loss, a sack, a fumble recovery, a quarterback hit, a tackle for loss. Bro, that defensive line is stout.
It was ugly last night.
They were just, I mean, it was like every play, as soon as the ball was snapped, it was like Aaron Rodgers was surrounded.
He was.
And I loved it.
He didn't know what to do.
No. Yeah. I mean,
he was confused. He looked like he was out of his element.
And the thing again too about this line is, I mean, they just kept moving. Everybody's moving constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're inside, they're outside. They're standing up. They're a traditional.
Well, yeah, and then that led a lot to his confusion. He didn't know what to expect next.
Yeah,
it's like where are they coming from?
On the opposite side of that ball, Darius Smith had a great game. 6 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks.
We talked about him yesterday.
You called that one yesterday. That's for dang sure.
I told you, dude, he's been having such a good season. Like, and he's another guy, just like, because he doesn't play a traditional, he can't be called a defensive end because of what the hell they're lining up as. He's just forgotten, and it's just like, it's so unfortunate because he's one of the best defensive linemen, edge rushers, whatever the hell you want to call him, in the league right now. I mean, his pressure number is insane. His just watching him play, I mean, he's got so many different skills. I mean, his hand movement's great. The way he lines up is great. He can bull rush. I mean, he can dip. He can hit the corner. I mean, he can cause a strip. I mean, he can make the sack happen. I mean, he never gives up. And when fucking guys hit the edge, he's running dudes down. Like, he's fast. Like, he's awesome. And I almost wrote about him in the offseason when we were still with that other jackass. I almost wrote about him. But I think I started to, and I realized if I ever put this on his website, no one will see it, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't, but I really wish I had wrote something down so I could take a little more credit for being aware of what he was going to do. But I play him in a couple of leagues where I have lucky enough to have him. He's incredible. 6 tackles too for a guy that you're lining up on as your edge rusher. I mean, that was only like one less tackle than Blake Martinez had. The same number of tackles as Blake Martinez had. You know what I mean? So you're getting solid baseline numbers and you're getting high upside numbers. So good for him. He's hopefully he makes All-Pro or not one of the All-Pro teams. I mean, we'll have to see, but he's making a case.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. I mean, of the Smith brothers, he's the big guy. And the thing is, it's such a big year for the defensive linemen. I mean,
I know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting.
I think yesterday I was really excited about Sheldon Richardson playing because, of all everybody getting suspended, and talk about somebody who steps up. I mean, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, and a pass deflection.
Massive.
That was
huge day.
Yeah.
And I have Sheldon Richardson. I actually remember when you guys gave me all this flack after the first week of this season. This is a real thing. I dropped Nick Bosa and pick up Sheldon Richardson because he had high tackle game, and I got a lot of flack for it.
As you should.
Mm-hmm.
But not really.
Get it off.
If I give you, if I'm talking about just points alone, I'm still winning this between Sheldon Richardson and Nick Bosa because Nick Bosa will disappear.
True.
Sheldon Richardson at least will get me, 4 tackles a game, and that's saying something from a defensive lineman. So,
true, but you don't get to laud it over people that you have Nick Bosa. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that the whole point?
Oh, look who I got!
Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah.
Who cares? Oh, you like Nick Bosa?
But he's
so good.
Golf clap.
About this. Sometimes it's not about the name; it's about the consistency.
Sometimes, though. Just sometimes.
Well, majority of
it about the name.
People went after Roquan Smith. I got Danny Trevathan. People went after Tremaine Edmonds. I got Matt Milano. People go after Nick Bosa, or
you got Sheldon Richardson.
I've got Everson Griffin too. So
there you go.
I mean, so in that aspect, people are going after these huge names. I'm going after consistency, and I'll probably win the division today, hopefully, as long as something, Corey Littleton doesn't kill me. So, praying Corey Littleton balls out tonight. All right, let's carry on. Robert Quinn, you said he was going to have a good game.
Again.
Tackle, sack, forced fumble, 3 quarterback hits, and he probably should have had 2 more sacks.
Yeah, he should have.
Tom Brady was kind of
Tom Brady got
yesterday.
Yeah, he was looking a little slippery yesterday, old Tom.
It was all that rain.
Yeah, no shit.
TJ Watt, 2 tackles, a sack, forced fumble, tackle for loss, pass deflection, and
he did most of that in the first quarter too. He should have had a much bigger game. I was kind of surprised he didn't.
Dude, Pittsburgh's defense played great again, like yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean,
TJ Watt and Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward had 6 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, tackle for a loss, and a sack. I had those 2. They were like my 1 and 2 on the week, I think. A ton of these guys that are on this list were in my top 24 this week. It's kind of easy to see some of these coming. Playing Cincy, obviously.
I love seeing Matt Ioannidis back playing well again because he was
last week. Sack, man.
What did his counterpart do?
Jonathan Allen had like a half a sack. He almost made the list. He's on the honorable mentions part down at the bottom. He had like a half a sack and like 5 tackles.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about
Kerrigan? I think Kerrigan did shit yesterday.
Kerrigan didn't do anything, which
back to
right back to purgatory.
Yeah, he probably played 90% of snaps just to piss in your face.
I mean, it's just one of those things. Matt Ioannidis didn't score the week before, and
he had an okay game. He had 4 tackles, half a sack, half a tackle for a loss, and 3 quarterback hits. So that was good for 14 points in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring. But that's like the threshold of like a good game. So,
but Matt Ioannidis outplayed him in limited snap shares. So we're going to play Kerrigan. We're going to pay Kerrigan for no reason. When you
says he suffered a concussion.
Yeah, exactly.
Kerrigan has to be on the way out. Like we have to, right? He's 31, and the other guys on this line are like Ioannidis is like 23. Deron Payne's like 22, and Jonathan Allen's like 23 or 24.
And Montez Sweat.
And he had a decent game yesterday. He had like a sack and a forced fumble and something else. He came in like at 11 or 12 points, I believe, overall or something like that. But
in a game they were supposed to lose.
Yeah. Well, did you see before the game they put the graphic up that Washington all time is like 29-1 against Detroit at home?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
I was like, really? And then like they went out there and they waxed them. Not really waxed them, but basically they waxed them. I would have
go Lions.
I would to have a little bit more gusto in that.
That's your typical Lions team right there.
Unfortunately,
lose to the Washington Redskins.
I would
they're supposed to lose.
Teams like Dallas and Detroit, play on like Friday before Thanksgiving because they get short week twice a year. And, because they're the 2 teams that are always going to play early, play on Thursday this week. So, and we talked about short weeks and bad enough. Let's talk. Dude, Dallas flew to New England, played in a late evening game
in shitty weather. They probably just rolled into Dallas fucking an hour or 2 before we got on here. You know what I mean? Like they're probably tired, and they're not going to get the day off. They got to be at meetings.
They got to get some practice time. It sure ain't Victory Monday.
So it's going to be and they're feeling down on themselves too. So we got Tuesday, Wednesday, game day, and it's a holiday week. So not saying anything. Their families,
their Thanksgiving is usually on Wednesday, right?
Aunt Brenda's calling. You gonna be there? I saw your game last night. Bitch, I'm sleeping. What do you want?
Good job.
Yeah, I feel bad for them, in that aspect.
Yeah, and they almost. There was that. If Amari Cooper would have caught that, that would have been awesome. Because he hadn't done anything all game, and I was like, "Oh damn, okay." I was like, 4th and 10, Amari Cooper or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I was like, "Wow, what a pro!" And then I saw, I was like,
"Yeah, nope."
He even saw it too. He was on the sideline. He's like,
I'm going to continue to say this. Who's the best corner in the league?
Stephon Gilmore.
It's Stephon Gilmore, bro. Dude, nobody has a good game against this guy. Nobody.
Well, he hasn't played Tyreek this year. Has he?
He shuts down every.
He shut him down too.
He plays him what? In a week or two?
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill's had a good game against him in his career. I know maybe his last game against him he wasn't great, but he's had a good game against him. I think didn't they open the season against the Patriots like 2 years ago and Tyreek had like 150 yards?
Yeah, but Stephon Gilmore didn't play him.
He didn't?
He didn't play against him. They didn't man him up.
Yeah.
That's when they were like, oh, we just got this dude from
they knew to
Buffalo. Let's play him a zone area.
They didn't want to hurt his personal brand. They didn't want him to get burned.
Well,
No.
Stephon, I mean, you got to think about it. The McCourty brothers both can run with anybody in the league. They're both 4-3 guys. So, and Stephon Gilmore has yet to have really a bad game against anybody. So,
let's hit this list back up because I think we're only about halfway through these D-line studs. I actually looked to Montez Sweat didn't have a huge game, but he did end up with 17 points in our league, so that's pretty good. I didn't put him on this list, but he's worth shouting out. Brandon Graham, he's been quietly consistent all season. He had 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles, and 2 quarterback hits yesterday.
Yeah, both those tackles were tackled for loss, right? So.
Yep, 2 tackles.
I'll take that all day.
I'm not sure. I didn't write that in here, but they probably were because he got 2 quarterback hits too. Bud Dupree, he was chilling all game, and then like that very last play when he sealed up that win, that's when he got his sack, forced fumble recovery, and his quarterback hit stat. 2 tackles. He got all that on the very.
He played really strong at the end of the game, and I actually had to stream him because Leighton Vander Esch got hurt again, and so I'm like, well, I got to pick up a player, and I'm in a pretty deep league, so I had to pick up Bud Dupree, and I was pretty happy about it because of the play.
I was gonna say finding him on your waiver was a lucky situation because
it really was. I'll be honest with you, and
you could see that coming against Cincinnati, and he's been playing really good, and the disruption along the line in general. And again, I mean, you waited the whole game, and he only had like 1 or 2 points, and then last defensive play of the game, he gets you 8 or 9.
Another player that I streamed up 2 weeks ago when Danny Trevathan got hurt, Marcus Golden, 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, and a quarterback hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, 2 guys that I had to stream because of injuries, and both are on our studs list this week and have been on my studs. Golden's had a monster week that week, and I picked him up this Saturday before the game. So
it's funny how in fantasy football, like a guy, depending on how we perceive a guy, depends on where he ends up. And you got guys like Bud Dupree and Marcus Golden. You say you get them on waiver wire. I got Will Fuller on my waiver wire and played him this last week. And in 2 other leagues that I did not check, he's on the waiver wire. And I would have played him if I'd have known that. And it's funny how, these guys in your head, you're like, well, they're probably not available. But when guys are up and down, I mean, when people are picking up that hot new waiver guy, I mean, if you catch somebody on a down week that's still a good player, that is a Bud Dupree, and not a TJ Watt, he's going to hit the waiver wire,
remember last week during this show, we were talking about Marlon Mack having a broken hand, and we're like, hey, let's go pick up this rookie, the other running back in Williams, who's been a journeyman. And
I mean, it was just a few weeks ago
this week. So
just a few weeks ago, I found Landry on the waivers.
Yeah, we're just talking about Harold Landry and on being on somebody's waiver wire, which was bonkers to me because he really been a baller.
Yeah, I got him on waivers.
2 quarterback hits, a sack, a tackle for loss. The Tennessee Titans defense is pretty stout. I mean, we got players like Rashawn Evans. We've got Jayon Brown, Harold Landry, Logan Ryan, who's a monster.
Kenny Vaccaro, Kevin Byard.
All these players are playing very well. So,
and did they win yesterday? They did. They destroyed Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They completely destroyed.
Waxed them.
Henry had another monster game. So
that dude, I tell you what, if he doesn't have a 75-yard touchdown against Jacksonville, the world's not right. Like, I saw it happen, and I was like, is this a replay or is this like happening IRL? Like, I feel like I've seen this before. It looks the same every time. It's him running, looking over his shoulder, somebody coming up on him like stiff arming, and doesn't look like he's running very fast, but like they just like can't get him, and he's always on the sideline, and he always scores. Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell?
Tannehill was kind of slippery yesterday. I mean, Yannick, your boy Yannick got to him 2 tackles.
Dude, my boy Yannick. Let's talk about him.
1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, pass deflection, forced fumble recovery.
That's the stack right there. That's what you're looking for. And Yannick, he was the highest ranked defensive lineman I had for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I completely faded Calais Campbell, and he didn't do anything yesterday. Like, I don't think he had a stat.
Ever since he hurt his back a couple weeks ago, I have not touched him.
The same thing is true of Josh Allen. He has worst game of the season yesterday. I had him kind of high. Well, I was going to move him up by rankings, but thankfully I published him before that. So he was still down. But I had Yannick right before I published. I think he was a top 6 or 7 for me this week, and I was pretty happy with his performance. He's been coming on strong last 5-6 weeks. And
I'll tell you who was extremely high on our list, and we called him out like 5 weeks ago about a guy you should go get, and you're probably going to get him on waiver wire, Max Crosby. Max Sack City Crosby, I'm going to call him. 4 tackles, another sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hit.
Jeez. Yeah.
And he should have had another sack, didn't they?
Yes.
A penalty for one of them.
Would have had 2 sacks.
Penalty. Somebody fell on top of what's his head, and they were like disrupting the passer. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Max Crosby, dude, he's a ball. I mean, the thing is, I had Clelin Ferrell going against me in this league, and I'm like, man, I'm glad you got this guy going instead of Max Crosby. And he's like, shut up.
Yeah, Clelin Ferrell's going to need some time to develop.
Yeah, what happened to them Raiders yesterday?
They got whooped.
Yeah.
Man, they need a wide receiver. I mean, Tyrell Williams is all right. Aaron Waller's all right, but they need like a wide receiver, like somebody.
I mean, like Antonio Brown or
no, not him,
or Amari Cooper or something like that.
No. My man Sam Hubbard,
somebody like that.
Oh yeah, Sam Hubbard finally showed back up. Thank God.
6 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, quarterback hit, pass deflection.
Welcome back, Sam Hubbard.
Welcome back, Sam. But I said he was going to have a good week this week.
Yes, you did. You said he's going to be back.
You did. I mean, I think that puts his tackle number on the season up over 50.
Yeah, you said that was the perfect matchup.
It really was. It was just a good matchup for him. And to see him get back in the fold is really nice. And I don't know, man. It's we had a tough little sledding.
Is it just the matchup, or is he back?
I mean,
he still had some like we said, he's got 50 tackles as a defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
that's.
I mean, he's not completely fade worthy. You can't confidently.
He does have to play Cleveland twice over the next 4 weeks. So
that's good. Those are good. Those are plus.
We say that's good. Baker's only been sacked 6 times over the last 5 games. So something has happened with
their line. They got that guy they drafted back, Forbes. I live in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is a school called SEMO here, and we have this offensive lineman last year. His name's Drew Forbes, and apparently he was really good. And they drafted him, and he got hurt in training camp, so he was on IR. He came off IR 2 weeks ago, and since then, like you said, Baker, I mean, it's made a difference for their line.
Robson's started to play well. Trader's playing well.
And they spent a draft pick on him, on their line. He's one of the only linemen they drafted. And apparently a couple other teams had their eye on him. So, I mean, apparently he's pretty good.
Mayfield was on a streak yesterday where he had 12 completed passes. He threw the interception because it bounced right off of Odell Beckham's hand into the dude's arms. And then, and otherwise, he would have had 17 straight completed passes, which would have been a high for him because 15, I think, is his high.
I love how you call Tre'Davious White the dude. Tre'Davious White has some respect.
The dude.
One of the best corners in the league. He's going to show up on the defensive back stud section here in a minute.
Okay, so let's finish up this list. Shaq Lawson. Dude. 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. At the end of the ball game, this dude's like, "Who are you, man? I don't know you." And he starts screaming at me. He's like, "I had 2 sacks on your ass." He's like, you remember me now? That's all I got to say to you. It was so funny, dude. He was giving this dude the business at the end of the game.
Love me a Bill.
Bro, the Bills have this cult following for fans too. It's so amazing.
As they should.
I have a buddy, my buddy Brontez Steele, has no reason to be a Bills fan from where we're from, and he has been a Bills fan since we've been kids. And he's part of the Bills Mafia, man. It's awesome to watch. Those guys are crazy. I think it's because he was a wrestling fan. They're all about putting people through tables. So,
yeah, buddy.
All right.
I like to party.
Defensive back studs. Eric Reed. Oh, my gosh.
I had him at defensive back 2 on the week, and he did not disappoint.
15 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. 15 tackles. This dude's putting linebacker 1 numbers up the last 3 weeks. Balling.
We said it on the show last week, didn't we? Was it on this show or was it on the other show? But I mean, I think it was on this show. It's like Eric Reed is. I mean, he's the most underrated, least talked about safeties in the league right now because he's friends with old Kaepernick. So nobody wants to get him to shine because, he's tainted. But he is playing. I mean, he's playing lights out. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And he's a leader. I mean, he's not scared to be that guy, and Kuechly, and between him and Kuechly, I mean, they've got a solid leadership situation there.
They've got 2 or 3 tough losses. Just the Panthers alone. I mean,
they were going.
Kicker missed a chip shot field goal yesterday. So
yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to beat the Saints. I mean, I really thought they were. And Kyle Allen. When you talk about that, dude's got ice in his veins. I mean, some of those throws on 4th down, I've seen him make some completions on 4th down this season that I don't think Drew Brees could have made.
There's no chance, and there's no chance in hell.
He's a baller, man. He's
playing with.
That's why Cam Newton's not going to be there next year.
Young players. I mean, both his wide receivers are 23 and under. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's 23. I mean, it's basically a bunch of 23-year-olds and Greg Olsen and Bruce Irving out there. And they're going toe-to-toe with some people. I think I picked Kyle Allen up in a super flex league on the waivers, and I thought it was just going to be like a goof around, like, playing a week or two.
He's my quarterback too, my IDP 1-2-3 league.
He's looking like I might have him for a few years in this dynasty league. I'm like, all right, like I'm fine with that. Like he's put up like 40 points yesterday in this league.
Yeah, he's a baller. All right, let's get through the rest of the guys. Tre'Davious White, Justin Simmons, Jamal Adams every week. Landon Collins, Von Bell every week. Sean Williams every week. Malcolm Jenkins came out of nowhere.
Never Malcolm Jenkins. For what I wrote about how he was going to suck this week, so he went out and had the best week of the season.
So let's start with Malcolm Jenkins.
Just despite you.
6 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, 2 tags for loss, and 2 tackles.
He basically doubled his production on the season yesterday. Not literally, but damn, it felt like it.
Yeah, he kind of balled out yesterday.
Yeah.
Sean Williams, 3 tackles, an interception, a pass deflection.
I didn't even put the sacks on here. He had 2 sacks too.
Yeah.
So
I figured your 2 tackles were 2 sacks over here. So Landon Collins, another big week, 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Von Bell, a tackle for loss and a pass deflection. Jamal Adams is good for half a sack. 3 quarterback hits, 7 tackles. He's putting up some linebacker numbers. Justin Simmons, 8 tackles, a pass deflection, and an interception. It's funny. Somebody had me asked a question about Justin Simmons and somebody else, and Eric Harris disappeared yesterday, which was tough. Justin Simmons comes back and plays stronger again. Tre'Davious White, you've been all over Tre'Davious White for weeks. 3 tackles, 4 pass deflections, and an interception. 4 pass deflections that's huge. And again,
hashtag good.
Eric Reed, like we already talked about, another baller game. Honorable mentions, like you talked about on our list, we have Jonathan Allen, Minkah. I guess we're going to put Deion Jones on the honorable mentions.
He had 9 tackles and I think like something else. So
something else.
He had 10 or 11 points. It wasn't bad.
He looked at the ball.
Somebody that's not on this list, I was just talking about AJ Johnson had 15 total tackles, 10 solos, 5 assists, a tackle for loss,
He should
and a
have
quarterback hit.
He should have gone.
He's definitely a stud this week.
Yeah, I missed that one.
So
Good to give him a shout out.
it's funny. I was playing against him in 2 different leagues and used him in another league, and he was on the bench in both other leagues I was playing against him, which I was just like, yes, thanks.
Divine props.
Because I played him in the leagues that I have, because he's played pretty well the last couple of weeks. So, and that's saying something because Todd Davis is playing well too.
Yeah, well, it seems like he's gonna be like. Seems like Josie Jewell is like the Josie Jewell era came and went.
Yeah, because AJ Johnson is balling. So
playing very well.
Alec Ogletree had an interception in the end zone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that helped boost him up a good bit. Minkah Fitzpatrick, what do you have? I think 5 or 6 tackles, but he had a fumble recovery. So I mean, again, he didn't have the interception like I thought he'd have, but he had the big play. Devin Bush, he wasn't in the stud section, but he caused the fumble, and he kind of had a low tackle number the past couple of weeks. But the thing about IDP that I kind of like is not everybody's ability is dependent on them as the individual. So it's like you get a good defense, you're going to get good IDP players on that defense. So like the 49ers, a good example. There are a lot of good playable guys because so-and-so's causing pressure. So-and-so gets the sack. Well, so-and-so knocked the fumble out. Well, so-and-so picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. Everybody gets points on that play. Similar thing with the Steelers. It's like TJ Watt, he's going to get lots of pressures, cause a forced fumble. Devin Bush caused a forced fumble. That Minkah Fitzpatrick picks up that forced fumble. Cam Hayward's deflecting a pass that so-and-so is intercepting. I mean, there's just you got all these different guys that are really good, high-level players. It helps the other guys. Whereas on offense, if you just have an alpha on your team, it doesn't really help the other guys as much. Maybe sometimes they might draw coverage, but you're still you have a little less.
You don't get a point for the running back blocking somebody.
Exactly. You don't have the love isn't spread around quite as much. It's all Julio had 11 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. That doesn't help Calvin Ridley. But, if TJ Watt forces 2 fumbles, Cam Hayward might pick one up and run it in for a touchdown. That helps a lot of people. So I like, it's good to see you can kind of count on these guys on these big play defenses. And Minkah, he's been a little bit down the past couple of weeks, but again, I mean, he's good for basically a big play a week, it seems like. And it was good to see him and Devin Bush, kind of feeding off each other and helping your team out.
I said the biggest for Tampa Bay, the biggest grab for them was Ndamukong Suh, who's going to be an honorable mention this week. 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Every time he has a good game, Shaq Barrett has a good game, which is just like last year. Every time he had a good game, Aaron Donald had a good game.
Yep.
Okay. Another person that isn't on our list and kind of disappeared for most of the year because of injury is Jarod Davis. Came back, had a good game. He had 6 tackles, 2 assists, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack.
Yeah, he's been a big up and down player, but he keeps coming.
I'll take that out of. I mean, he's an inside linebacker. He didn't have a Joe Schobert day, but I mean, he did have 8 tackles, so I'll give him that. So overall,
credit where credit is due.
Fabian Moreau had a decent game for a cornerback yesterday. 6 total tackles, 2 quarterback hits. Hit 2 other big things, right? 2 interceptions.
It's worth noting.
Ronnie definitely got to be on this list. 2 interceptions. So
Ronnie Harrison went out with an injury yesterday for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That hurt a lot of people. He's been playing really well, and he only played, I think, 11 or 12 snaps. So that kind of sucks. Jabril Peppers, he went out with an injury. So there's some banged up safeties out there. Tracy Walker, a lot of people were riding him. So it'll be interesting to see what we can find on our waiver wires this week to replace these guys or on your benches, just depending on your situation. But Jarod Wilson, we talked about him a little bit yesterday. He played 100% of snaps still at safety. So he might be seeing a little uptick in action with Ronnie Harrison potentially out this next week. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. Like you said, I wanted Bethea to have a better game after Peppers went out, but he didn't. But, I mean, I'm still locking Bethea in every week. He's a top 10 play. He just has shown that throughout his whole career that he can tackle, and that's, what you want from a defensive back. Honestly, you want the big playability around him. That's why I like him and Peppers together. But even with Peppers gone, I still think he's a great play. So,
Another arm wrench you got to put in here is Michael Kendricks. 11 solos and a tackle for loss. He might be he's definitely on the tinder of a stud with a tackle for loss.
He keeps showing up too. We talked about him last week. He had a good game.
Another guy who had a good game, Vita Vey.
Oh yeah, I saw that. What a troll move.
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course, it's a Bruce Arians offense. I was like, of course.
That was crazy.
He was pumped when he caught that, though.
I mean, he got a sack too.
Yeah, he had a tackle and a sack and a tackle for loss.
And a touchdown.
Yeah,
and a touchdown.
I wonder, did you guys have him in any leagues? Did you guys get the points for that? I mean,
I did not play him.
I'm in some weird.
But yes, in one of my leagues, he did get a touchdown points.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm in a league where I had Micah Hyde, and he had a special teams touchdown that didn't get counted for me.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, and that's crap. It's touchdown, still touchdown.
Really upset me. I'm in another league too where Chase Winovich earlier in the season, he had that touchdown off the block kick, and he didn't get that.
That's
like
crazy.
it shows up in like the little thing on Sleeper, but he didn't get the points for it. I was like, what the hell's going on here, guys?
Yeah, that's 12 points right there.
I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, come on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So KJ Wright showed up, Michael Kendrick showed up.
Bobby Wagner.
What happened to Bobby Wagner?
I honestly,
I don't even know stat wise.
what he did. Yeah, I'll have to look real quick. He didn't show up on the studs part, so I mean, I don't think he broke 10 tackles.
So he must have been in the duds part then.
Yeah,
I don't know if he did anything yesterday.
He's still one of the highest leading tackles in the league right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong,
but
he's been balling.
He's on a lot of assists, though. Let's take a look here. Bob,
he's the one guy that I'm thinking of. With the other two that had such a good game, I mean, he had 6 total tackles yesterday.
6 tackles. That's it. Nothing else.
4 solo and 2 assists.
No pass deflections, no fumble recoveries, no quarterback hits, nothing. Just 6 tackles. So that's not great.
No,
he didn't do anything besides that. So
and
overall, I mean, pretty good week for the IDP guys. I mean, just fun to watch. Played pretty well.
Oh yeah. If you don't play IDP, I mean, I feel bad for people that don't play IDP. Obviously, someone's listening to this show probably does, but guys, tell your friends about the show. Tell your friends about IDP. Tell your friends about our Twitter accounts. Tell everybody the IDP is what's up. We're trying to get this stuff off the ground. We want you to be able to play DFS IDP. We want you to be able to talk about IDP with your friends. And part of that is just having good, relevant information out there, which is kind of what we're trying to do. I mean, we put this stuff out there for you guys so that you can become more educated, so that we can become more educated. We get feedback from you guys. Let's just keep growing this thing. If you want to go check us out on the iTunes or the Spotify and all that, leave us a review. I don't know if we have any reviews yet on our show. I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's not enough. Give us a 5-star review, and tell your friends about the show. In the off season, when we're not talking, just breaking down what happened, we're going to talk more about projecting the season. We're going to dissect some of the stuff that happened this last season. We're going to talk about scoring, talking about just a lot of stuff, and especially when the draft season comes around and Jarod starts dropping the rookie shows. I mean, you got to be on for that because, there's so many good rookies in IDP. You have several rookies that are top 10 at their position. Between Devin Bush, Devin White, Josh Allen, Nick Bosa. I mean, these are all guys that are top 12, top 15 in IDP leagues right now. So you need to be abreast of the situation, who's going to be that guy. Look at last year. These safeties came out screaming. Derwin James, Jesse Bates. So, IDPs, Darius Leonard. It doesn't take quite as long as it does for an offensive player to become very relevant in IDP. So keep up with us. Follow that stuff. We got, hopefully, looks like I look like I'm going to be going to the Senior Bowl with Expand the Box Score. Hopefully Jared's there too. Hopefully we're going to be able to get some interviews with some of these guys for you guys. Hopefully get some of them to start, gassing up IDP in their locker rooms. Some of these dudes like, yo, like, let's get some of this, $7 billion fantasy sports industry money, on the defensive side of football. So we're doing our little part. It's going to take everybody. That's why we call it the IDP Army. I mean, if we want to win over the masses, we gotta stand shoulder to shoulder, and we gotta be willing to fight for this stuff. And we're doing it. I mean, that's why I'm up on a Monday morning at 5 o'clock. That's why Jared's up at 4 o'clock. It's because we love you guys, and because we know that you guys can have as much fun as we're having, and we think you deserve that. And we're here to help you get there. So that's all I get for the IDP 411 today. It's been real hanging with you guys as always. These are my bros. These are my woes. Love you guys.
We got a lot of stuff going here, guys. And until next week.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.